A few minutes ago, I'm sure everybody is aware right now of the different incidents involving Asian Americans around the country, as far as the massage parlors in different places like that. Go ahead, boy. The massage parlors in different places like that. There's been several incidents in New York as well where Asian people have been violated in different ways. A lot of them have been killed, right? So we're gonna talk about that. So give me 1 second here. Pull up some good information that I had. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Oh, okay. So I'll read this article that I found here, which I found pretty interesting, and then we'll get into some of the points, right? Because again, racially motivated violence or any of our Asian or Mexican brothers and sisters who have different things happening to them or have to deal with injustice the way we do, there's nothing wrong with fighting for them or fighting with them, but there are some caveats that we need to kind of get an understanding. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get into that in a minute. So in this article, it says, in recent weeks, we've seen a series of high-profile violent attacks against Asian Americans, ranging from brutal robberies to fatal assaults. Now, this week, a 21-year-old man killed 8 people, most of them Asian Americans in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, how many of the attacks were racially motivated? Because, they're saying some of it's racially motivated. Sometimes they're saying that it can be based on President Trump labeling the coronavirus the China virus or whatever. So that could be some of the motivation behind the attack. So let's get into it. In order for an act of violence to be legally classified as a hate crime, the perpetrator has to explicitly mention or signal that they are committing this crime in the name of hatred for that group, right? In many of the most recent attacks on Asian Americans, the perpetrators made no such declaration. Over the past year, though, we've seen huge surge in violent crime for reasons criminologists are still trying to understand. In some cases, Asian Americans were probably caught up in the wave of murder and assault without being specifically targeted. However, Asian Americans are often stereotyped as being meek, passive, or well-to-do, all qualities that would make them more attractive targets according to research. Now, that kind of passive form of racial prejudice can still harm Asian Americans even if explicit hatred is not the reason they're being targeted. Let me see what else here. Something else I want to read to you guys. Okay, so that being said, there's quite a lot of evidence suggesting that people of Asian descent are becoming special targets of violence. Take, for instance, a January attack in Seattle where a man slugged an Asian American woman after yelling that Asians need to be put in their place. The Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at California State University, Santa Barbara, recently released a fact sheet that claims anti-Asian hate crime spiked 149% in America's largest cities during 2020. Let me see here. Oh, last thing I'll read about this before I get into my opinion, right? What is the source of this animosity? Though hate crimes against Asian Americans have been slowly rising since 2016, some evidence suggests that the past year's surge was driven, like I said a little earlier, by racist reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic. Former President Trump repeatedly referred to the COVID-19 as the China virus, which appears to have strengthened the association of Asian and disease in the minds of his followers, expressed through social media hate. Now, that's all I'm going to read of that. That's all I'm going to read of the article. But here's the thing, right? Because again, so as a black man in America, do I want to see any other underserved group or do I want to see any other group of people get brutalized in this country, right? No, I do not. Like, not at all. But here's the thing, family, because for a minute when all of this Stop Asian hate shit was going on, which again, I support the movement, but there's some caveats that we need to discuss. So for one, I was seeing a lot of posts regarding the fact that black people were behind a lot of this shit, and that's completely false. Like, we are some of the most loving people in this country. Groups of black people do not go out attacking anybody, not even the white people who fuck with us. We don't do that. Now, in American life, there are one-offs all the time. Will you get somebody black teasing somebody Asian when you were a kid, or even now? Sure, that happens. Those are one-offs where you can have a black person teasing somebody Asian. You can have a black person teasing somebody Mexican. Mexicans and Asians probably do that type of shit too, right? So that's a different thing. But as far as us going around killing people, us going around brutalizing other groups of people, that shit just don't happen in large numbers. It don't. Like, we're some of the most loving people in this country, and we show that all the time, because the motherfuckers who really brutalize us, we don't do nothing to them, right? And historically, we don't really get down like that, right? Now, again, it's nothing wrong with fighting for Asian people. If they are in a position like we're in, like if white supremacy is attacking Asian people, because some of these brutal attacks that I've seen is white people doing it, right? So if we're going to stand with another community, that's cool, right? And I've seen black people online calling out the hypocrisy. Like, some people in our community feel, we're standing up for Asian people right now, but where were they when we were talking about our Black Lives Matter shit? Where were they when Breonna Taylor, and we looking at all these different protests that we have to go through? Where were they when that shit was happening, right? And that's something that I have to be honest, I agree with that. Because if you're an Asian person or you're a Mexican person and you see us on the news fighting for our liberation, right? You see us in your neighborhood marching and fighting for our liberation. If you see George Floyd get his shit, if you see George Floyd get killed on camera and you're from another community and that doesn't make you outraged, why in the fuck should we be outraged when something happened to you, right? So this shit has to be, this shit has to go both ways. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing wrong with us, because again, I see black people in my community with the Stop the Asian Hate or whatever. Again, man, I'm hella with unity. Like, with all of us being unified. But we have to be honest, family. We have to be honest in this country, and this is my personal experiences. Sometimes people in Mexican communities, sometimes people in Asian communities, they don't really fuck with us like that, right? This is just the long and short of it. A lot of people who come over to this country, they take on the same ideology as the white supremacists who don't like us. So we fighting everybody. Everybody got a name for nigga. Am I lying? Stop me when I'm lying, family. Most races of people have a derogatory name for black people, and we don't. There are stereotypes about all of us. I get it. And all of us use certain stereotypes, but I've learned quickly that most other races of people got negative ass names they call black people exclusively, right? Based on the perception, based on how white folks view us, right? So if we're going to do this Stop Asian Hate shit, I'm with you. But you got to be marching with me too, goddammit. You got to be marching with me too. When we come in your store, because this is all facts right here. When we come in your store, you can't treat me like a goddamn criminal. If I come in your Asian store shopping with you, which I've seen this in my community and other communities where black people frequent, you can't treat us like shit. See, that's the dichotomy of all of this, family. Yes, we can stand together, but we got to stand together all the time, right? We got to stand together when some shit's happening to us too. Now, I'm not speaking to all people. We're not speaking in absolutes here. I know it just with the sheer numbers of shit, there are Asian people who feel for us and got a friend that's black or down for the movement, so they out there marching. I'm not saying that don't happen. I know Mexican people today that I know personally who down for us, who understand that all of us are behind enemy lines to a degree. So they ride with us, they march with us, they do all this shit with us, right? But again, we need to be clear about that, family. We need to be clear about that. We don't want to, don't come over here asking for our support when the white folks start fucking with you, right? Because they've been fucking with us since we got here. And again, I have to stand with my people who, I've seen a lot of people who say, look, yeah, it could be some Asian hate, but we've been going through crimes against us based on our race since we got here. You know what I mean? And just to be honest, in my humble fucking opinion, Asian people, some Mexican people to a degree, they have been able to set up infrastructure in this country that we have not been able to set up yet. So they were saying, and again, I don't wish violence on anybody. if you're an Asian person who ride with my black causes, then I'm going to ride with your Asian causes. Straight like that. You know what I mean? But we have to be honest that at times it don't seem like it's no big kumbaya shit. That's not how I be feeling. Like, I don't be feeling the love like that. You know what I mean? Like, we get stereotyped and treated a certain way. And again, this is from me going to Asian marts and being around people who I see they fear me a little bit. And I'm thinking all of this has to be based on perception because we don't really hurt nobody. Unfortunately, we hurt each other more than we hurt anybody outside of our community. And typically that's the same for most communities, right? You feel me? So, man, I just wanted to touch on the fact that, you know, all this Stop Asian Hate shit's been going around. You know, the massage parlors in Atlanta, like that was horrible. To just walk into any business and fire on innocent people, this is horrible, family. Like, I don't respect that at all. And I feel for all the families of the victims. But if we're talking about this kumbaya shit where we're going to come together, like all non-white people, if we're going to come together and be one and fight this system to create the rights we need, create the legislation that we need, I feel you, but you got to ride with us too. See, it can't be some shit where it's convenient for you. You know what I mean? Because again, like I said, a lot of people in Mexican communities, not all, we're never going to speak in absolutes, but a lot of people in Mexican communities, Asian communities, they look at us the same way white folks do. I've been called nigga in different languages. And I'm like, what did he just call me? And somebody has to translate for me what I'm actually being called. We haven't even sat down and thought of no, we get fucked with so much, we ain't even sat down and thought of no derogatory ass names for all these different races of people. But for some reason, they've done that to us.